Good morning, traders. This is Brad Matheny. Today is the 25th of September. We are looking at the SPY chart. We are moving into what I believe will be a fairly explosive trading phase for the markets. You can see that I've drawn these upward channeling lines as we're moving into this upward melt up phase, with the SPY attempting to eventually settle up in this 595 to 605 level. I do believe we're going to be topping in this range of the red box here, so be aware that we could move up into 590, 592, 595, and then run into some real topping patterns over here. But we've got a number of explosive bars here setting up end of this week and moving into next week. This is my SPY cycle pattern. So today we have a carryover in carryover men trend. Tomorrow we have a crush in trending mode, and then we have a gap potential in trending mode on Friday. Then we have an inside breakaway on the 30th, a Harami line on the 1st in carryover mode, a crush in trending mode, a reversal rally in trending mode, and then a down, up, down in counter trend mode. Now, this gives us a full week out here on the 7th through 11th. Gap up lower, gap breakaway, breakaway in counter trend mode, carryover and inside breakaway. So still have a lot of breakaway here, and then a gap up lower again in counter trend mode on the 14th. Now remember, that puts us back over here. That's the 14th is over in this area right here. Let me draw it. So this week here is the area where we have that potential gapping rotational type of pattern. So I'm kind of looking for the market to follow this green or purple line up into this 595 area, maybe up in a 604, 605 area, and then rolling potentially in this area. We'll see. That's 2, 3 weeks out. I'm just going to keep you updated as we go. But we have this carryover and carryover mode. Right now, we're down a little bit pre-market. Remember, as the markets move, so if the SPY and the NASDAQ move a bit higher today, we could see some pressure on gold and silver. We need to see how the dollar is holding up. It was weaker yesterday, which is why, in my opinion, why the gold rallied as it did. Bitcoin is moving downward, $700 to the downside. In fact, let's take a look at Bitcoin real quick. Bitcoin is rolling downward. I do expect it down here in the 60,000 area before, let's call it October 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. That would be a fairly aggressive downward move, basically a $3,000 move downward. Yeah, 3,300 roughly dollar move downward. We are going to see the markets roll a bit. Paying attention to the news, it looks like there's going to be quite a bit of, slinging, let's call it mudslinging through the election process over the next couple of weeks. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but we are literally about 30 days away from the election. I mean, wow. It's almost here, folks. So get ready for that volatility that usually comes in right before the election. Okay, a little off here. I'm going to go back to the Qs. Okay, so we should see fairly strong, moderate melt up trending in the Qs. You can see we're right now just trying to break above this intermediate called a unique high here. Would be very solid if we could get above this. So hypothetically, if we were to get a close today moderately higher, that would be solid. Tomorrow, if we could get some follow through and upward, then we would negate this blue excess phase peak pattern. That's what I'm looking for in this melt up. Now, this melt up, as you can see, as I suggested on the SPY, moving a bit higher up into this area on the SPY. Remember, we were talking about 595 to 600. I think we're talking about roughly 497 to 502 on the Qs. I don't think the Qs are going to break above this ultimate peak level. You can see it back here. I don't believe we're going to see that happen. I think the Qs are still under moderate pressure until we get past the election. And what ultimately would happen here is a rolling of trend like this, potentially setting up another ultimate phase peak or excess phase peak over in this area, rolling off of this high, coming down, setting up another flagging formation, and then we will see what happens here. Either we break out or we break down, where this area would be equal to this support level, ideally giving us the area that we would see either a secondary breakdown here and then a deeper breakdown later, or a breakaway phase after the election. And I'm leaning towards more of a breakaway phase. I think we're going to be moving into a fairly solid rally phase after the election. But this plays out almost beautifully into the pre-election time frame. Remember, the election is right here, 5th. So that's the election day. And if you look at this, reasonably reaching back up into this area here, falling back down into this support level or resistance level here, rolling into an excess phase peak, a flagging formation right before the election. This to me is a perfect example of what price may do over this time frame. I mean, this is ideally what you should expect to see happen over the next 60 days, roughly. So pay attention. This is a great example of what price will likely do. Well, you have a little bit of a rally phase here, a little bit of a pullback phase, a little bit of a flagging phase, and then we're going to be off to trending mode. And trending mode is probably going to be pretty exciting going into 2025. And yeah, that means that, once we get to election, that means we're coming up on Thanksgiving, and that means we're coming up on Christmas, and then the New Year, and then 2025. So yeah, it's almost here. Okay, gold is pausing a bit. Now, the weakening dollar yesterday prompted a fairly solid move. I even did a video about it. It's quite surprised to see gold make this move. I mean, I was and I wasn't. Let's be honest with you. I've been telling you gold's going to go higher. I did a big video on Monday telling you it was going up to 27.20, and I couldn't see any reason why it was going to stall. And of course, I did suggest that it was going to pause on Monday and Tuesday, thinking that we were going to see some sort of a rotation on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday as the US stock market rallied. My thinking was that the S&P and the Nasdaq would move moderately higher on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, with the US dollar building a little support and trying to rally. And normally if the dollar rallies and the stock market rallies, then gold will weaken or slide into a sideways kind of a pause. Well, that didn't happen. We had that nice rally basically from here, 26.44 roughly, up to 26.78 yesterday. A good solid $30 rally. And now we're really moving up into that 27.20 area over the next 4, 5, 6 days. I think we're going to get a bit of a pause day. Today is a pullback kind of a day in gold, a pause pullback day. So we may be able to see a little bit of a low, maybe 25.60, maybe 25.65. I wouldn't expect too deep of a move here unless something breaks. But, I would expect a pullback. I'm going to spread this out. And to give you an example, this area here, let's call it 26.69, 26.70. This should probably be a very solid re-entry area. So I'll mark it as a dark green. So call it anything below 2670. If you could get lucky and get down to the 2660 area, that would probably be an even better re-entry area, obviously. But I don't think we're going to get that down that far. So if you can get in below 2670 today and ride out the next couple of days, I'm pretty sure you're going to be very, very pleased with a 2700, 2710 price level. And like I said, that area to me gets pretty toppy. That's a full 100% move. You can see I measured it right here, puts us at 2726. So anything up in this area, right in this area, should be your topping. Get me out. Let's call it profits and call it good. Okay. Lastly, we'll go over here to silver. By the way, guys, thanks for all the great comments. Yeah, I'm doing my best, trying to help you guys out, and really just want to see your success. If I can help you guys stay out of trouble and find the best trades to get into, wonderful, perfect. That's kind of my goal. Okay, so here we have this major peaking pattern in silver from way back here in May of 2025. This is really not the ultimate high, but I need you to understand this is, and I will mark it. That is what's called the ultimate high. So now what we have with the ultimate high up here at 32.75 is that we are, here's our flagging formation, here's our breakdown. This is our one, the peaking pattern of the excess phase peak, the breakdown, moving into flag, which is 2, breaking down, breaking below support, finding intermediate support, moving into 3, and now we've rolled back up into this area. We have not broken to new highs. We've broken above the flag. We're likely to break to new highs here, which means that we're going to break this excess phase peak pattern and roll into upward trending. But as I mentioned to you, I really do believe that gold and silver are going to waffle a bit before the elections. So I'm kind of looking at this upper area for silver. Come here. I want my pointer. Looking at this upper 34, 33.50, $34 upper area for silver as resistance, setting up a potential rotation right before the election. And of course, here's the election right here. Bring to front. So you have some move in silver. This 33 to 30, they call it 33.50 to $34 move or peak in silver may, and again, gold and silver are pretty explosive right now. So maybe this $35 area is going to be the upper channeling range. And you can see how that plays out. 34.80 to 35.27 on a Fibonacci extension. But I would be very cautious of volatility and rotation, headed into the election. And that's, I've kind of highlighted it here with these rotation dips. But understand that, we could get these dips setting up over in this area, kind of like that, very easily. Very easily, guys, right before the election. There is a lot. Normally, the last 20, 30 days before the election is where all the crud comes out. Normally, it's very uncertain for the markets. Even though, like I said, we've got a recent rate cut and it looks like it's fairly clear, I would expect metals to really consolidate and maybe move into some sort of a deep V basing pattern right before the election. But again, that's my expectations just from experience, knowing that the markets move into a very, very uncertain period. And the markets, generally, the SPY and the NASDAQ are going to start reflecting uncertainty in policy in the week or two before the election. So be prepared as we move into that the last 10, 15 days before the presidential election, we're going to get some very weird price activity generally that maybe reflects more policy concerns than anything else. So we've pretty much got about 2 or 3 weeks to trade the trend, and then we move into that that election uncertainty time frame, which is going to change the market quite a bit. And remember, you're probably going to want to pull away from the markets a bit. There'll be some good trading, some good rotation and price volatility, but it's not going to be the easiest time to trade. Okay, guys, that's it. I'm going to work on my cup of coffee. Again, thank you for all the great comments. Love to hear that I'm helping everybody. In fact, I'd ask you to share your comments if you can. Let other people know what my research is all about and whether or not I'm really providing you assistance or not. And let's go get some money. 2025 is going to be very powerful. So here is my SPY chart. You can see how detailed everything is. People call it crayons, whatever you want to call it. Generally, I draw to try to give you guys a visual reference to what's actually taking place. I'm visual, so that means you guys get some sort of visual representation of what's happening. And the greatest thing is my research is pretty darn accurate. I like to think. Okay, guys, talk to you later. Bye.